I got the email on a Wednesday. Subject line, dinner with old friends? Harmless enough. Or so I thought. Now, I don't go around calling myself a suspicious man. I lock my doors, I keep backups of my backups, and I always watch where someone places their eyes when they shake my hand. That's just being smart. But this email? It had Monica written all over it. Monica, my wife of 11 years and the proud owner of a smirk so sharp it could cut glass, had this habit of organizing casual dinners that turned out to be anything but. She was a master of performance. If you looked up emotional ambush in the dictionary, there'd be a photo of her holding a cheese tray. So, I asked, who all's coming? She was in the kitchen, pretending not to listen, stirring something far too aggressively for soup. Oh, she said, too light, too breezy. Just Beth and Mark. You like them, don't you? Beth and Mark. Our married couple friends. The ones Monica once called unseasoned toast in human form. But sure, I nodded, love em. And just like that, I knew she was lying. That Friday, I came home to the smell of rosemary chicken and deception. The wine was already breathing on the counter. Candles lit. Her phone face down. Mine mysteriously charging in the guest room. I changed into a button-down, poured a glass, and leaned against the counter. You nervous? I asked her casually. Monica blinked. Nervous? For what? Dinner with toast. She laughed, but it was hollow. That's when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, half expecting Beth and Mark. Instead, I saw Eli. Now, I didn't know his name then. All I knew was tall, lean, maybe 22, wearing cologne that didn't match his shoes. His smile was crooked, half apology, half challenge. He looked past me into the house like he'd been here before. Hey, Mr. Langston, he asked. That's me. I'm here for Monica. Right then, I felt the entire foundation of my marriage give a polite little crack. Oh, I said, and what exactly are you here for? Behind me, Monica's heels clicked against the hardwood. Hey, Eli, she said, brushing past me, all bright and breathy. You're early. Eli, not Mark, not Beth. Eli, should I, go wait in the car? He asked, suddenly looking a lot younger. No, Monica said. Come in. She turned to me. Clay, can we talk in the office? Ah, yes. The office. Our Swiss neutral zone. The place where wars began with quiet words and ended in slammed doors and passive-aggressive post-it notes. She didn't waste time. I didn't mean for you to find out like this, she said, not even waiting for me to sit. You mean by opening the front door? She winced. I didn't cheat on you. No, I said. Just lied. Repeatedly. Brought a boy to my house. Called him by name. What is he? A delivery from Regret and Sons. I met him at the conference last fall, she said. He was assigned to my marketing cohort. It started as emails. Then coffee. Then. I know how it escalates. I watch documentaries. She rolled her eyes. I'm not in love with him. Oh, good. That makes this totally chill. She crossed her arms, like I was the one who owed her an explanation. It just happened, she said. I stood slowly, calm even. I'd learned a long time ago. Anger was what she expected. Silence unnerved her more. I want him gone in 10 minutes, I said. Clay, 10 minutes. Then I'll be back. I drove to my brother's garage and sat in the back room for 2 hours, pretending I cared about carburetors. He handed me a beer and asked no questions. That's what brothers are for. When I returned home, the house was quiet. Eli was gone. Monica was on the couch in the dark, a single lamp on, casting a halo around her like some kind of dollar store saint. I want to fix this, she said. I nodded. And that was the moment I decided I was going to destroy her. Not with fists, not with fury, but with patience. See, Monica had made one crucial mistake. She thought she was playing chess. But I wasn't playing a game at all. They say knowledge is power. But I say, timing is lethal. After that night, Monica thought we'd entered some unspoken healing period. She cooked more, asked if I wanted tea, suggested date nights, said things like, we can get through this. I nodded, smiled, played my part, even bought her flowers once. Hydrangeas, her favorite. She posted them to Instagram with the caption, progress isn't always loud. What she didn't know? I'd already bought a burner phone. And the camera and the hydrangeas? Not for aesthetics. I didn't need proof of the affair. I had that. But Monica wasn't the type to burn down a life for a fling. No, Monica invested. That boy, Eli, he wasn't just a mistake. He was a plan. and I wanted to know what page we were on. So I played dumb, listened, waited, and started collecting. One afternoon while she was at yoga, I unsynced her phone from our shared cloud. A quick tech reset, and voila, she stopped getting my location updates, but I kept getting hers. She was never at yoga. She was at a Starbucks 2 towns over. Every Tuesday, every Friday, same table, same boy. Once, I walked in, just to be sure. Hoodie up, sunglasses on, earbuds in. She didn't see me, but I saw them. She was laughing, hand on his wrist. The same move she used on me when we first met at that business seminar in Cincinnati. I left without saying a word. The next day, I installed a keystroke logger on our shared desktop. You know, the one she only used to check Pinterest or Google weekend getaways. Now, it told me everything. Emails, DMs, her private journal. Yeah, she journaled. Password protected, of course. But let's just say Monica used her mother's maiden name as a password, and I knew very well what Barbara Jean's name was before she met Big Rick. March 18th entry. Eli said he scared Clay suspects something. He's such a sweet soul, too honest. Unlike Clay. Clay just watches. Sometimes I wonder what's behind that calm face. But I'm tired of pretending. I want out. I want to feel again. Out. She wanted out. But not yet. Because Monica was too calculated to leap before the net appeared. She was trying to line up the net. Which is why, that same week, she suggested we refinance the house. Oh, for better rates? I asked, sipping coffee. She nodded. And it'd be good to separate a few assets, just in case we ever need flexibility. Smart, I said, smiling. I trust you. But behind the scenes, I moved $43,000 into a private account. Just a taste. Enough to cover what was coming. She wanted to catch me off guard. A slow fade. A clean exit. Friendly divorce. No drama. No suspicion from her family. Just a quick shift of narrative. Clay and I grew apart. It was mutual. We're still friends. But I wasn't just watching. I was documenting. Every transaction. Every calendar entry. Every secret conversation with Eli, who now signed off his emails with M+E= someday. Cute. Pathetic. Doomed. The more she thought I was clueless, the more confident she got. She started humming again in the mornings. Bought herself new clothes. Even dyed her hair. Said she was trying something fresh. You like it? She asked. I kissed her cheek. It's bold. I like bold. She had no idea what bold really looked like. They say every marriage is built on trust. Well, mine was about to be rebuilt on receipts. While Monica played house and held hands with her boy Wonder over almond milk lattes, I became the IRS with a vengeance. But instead of taxes, I was auditing our entire life. Let me tell you something. When a woman thinks she's winning, she gets sloppy. And Monica? She was practically wearing a cape. She started using the joint credit card again, which was adorable, considering she was using my income to finance dates with her sidekick. Uber rides at 11:48 p.m. to places not listed on her calendar. Room service bills that magically appeared under the name M. Langston. One even had the gall to include 2 guests. I didn't confront her. Instead, I started organizing it. A beautiful folder system. Screenshots. Exported CSV files. Labeled emails. I even built a PowerPoint. Slide 1. The moment you started lying. Slide 2. Weekly timeline of cheating activity with receipts. Slide 3. Things I paid for so you could be unfaithful. A bar graph. Yes, it had transitions. And music. I used her favorite Coldplay song, just for the irony. Around this time, Monica made a bold move. She started leaving her phone unattended. Face down, of course, but unlocked. Like a trophy hunter who thought the forest was clear of predators. That's when I discovered the Notes app. She was planning. Actually planning. There were bullet points. Talk to Clay mid-April. Ease into discussion. Mention needing space, but keep it friendly. Suggest keeping the house. For continuity. Don't mention Eli unless necessary. Get ahead of the narrative. Oh, so there it was. Not just infidelity. Not just deception. Strategy. She wanted to own the breakup. Wanted to come out of it like some misunderstood romantic who had no choice but to leave the cold, over-calculating husband. And me? I was supposed to look stunned. Maybe a little bitter, but too ashamed to say anything. I almost admired it. Except I had something Monica didn't. Access. See, I wasn't just a husband. I was an IT consultant. 10 years running. You don't live in this house, using my Wi-Fi, storing your cloud backups on my private server without leaving footprints the size of dinosaurs. So I found the videos. Short clips. Her phone angled subtly. Eli shirtless. Her giggling. Them kissing. On my bed. In my t-shirt. I didn't get angry. I got precise. Downloaded them. Timestamped them. Filed them under a folder labeled Alimony Reduction Kit. And then came the best part of the audit. The discovery that tied the bow. One message. Hidden in her drafts folder. Never sent. Dear Clay, I know this will hurt, but I have to be honest. I found something real with Eli. I didn't plan it. It just happened. You've always been stable, predictable, safe. But Eli makes me feel seen. Alive. I hope one day you'll forgive me. Monica. She was rehearsing her betrayal breakup letter. I read it 6 times. Then I smiled. Because it confirmed what I'd suspected all along. Monica didn't just want to leave. She wanted to be the victim. She wanted sympathy. She wanted credit for her honesty. That's when I started planning my revenge. Not screaming. Not chaos. Just timing. And symmetry. If she wanted a clean, quiet escape, I'd give her a clean, quiet trapdoor. I always believe the worst kind of revenge isn't loud. It's polite. And mine was going to be wrapped in a smile, sealed with a kiss, and served on a plate Monica picked out during our modern farmhouse phase. It started with flowers. Not out of love, out of optics. A man sending his wife flowers once a week doesn't look like someone being cheated on. He looks like someone still invested. Still hopeful. Still oblivious. Exactly what she wanted me to be. I gave her everything she needed to believe I was the same version of myself she'd already outgrown. Stable, mild, and slightly boring. The man who folds his socks and doesn't know how to check browser history. The man who'd never suspect a thing. Every day, I became more agreeable. I started asking her how work was going again. Rubbed her shoulders at night. Made pancakes on Saturdays. Even offered to take a couple's trip. Somewhere we could reset. Monica practically beamed. You're really trying, she said one night, nestling into my side on the couch. I kissed her forehead. I just don't want to lose you. She smiled into my chest. I had to bite my tongue to keep from laughing. Behind the scenes, I tightened the net. Transferred all my savings to a separate, undisclosed account. Closed the joint credit card and opened a new one in my name only. Met with a lawyer. A good one. Bought a burner phone and set up fake calendar entries she'd eventually find. Backed up every digital footprint she left. Emails, texts, audio memos she recorded for herself. Yes, she left audio notes. Apparently, when you're cheating, journaling with your voice feels more visceral. Eli makes me feel wild. Like I'm 19 again. Clay has no idea. Or maybe he does, but he's too careful to confront it. That's the thing about him, he's quiet. And you can't fight someone who won't even swing back. Oh, sweetheart. You should have seen the wind-up. A few days later, I initiated the bait. I accidentally left a folder labeled San Diego interview packet open on my desktop. She saw it, because I made sure she did. San Diego? She asked. I rubbed the back of my neck like I was reluctant. Just exploring. Nothing serious. Her eyes flickered. The thought of me leaving before she could leave? That didn't sit right. You're not, leaving the state, right? I shrugged. Not unless something better comes along. I watched it land. The panic. Not full-blown. Just a flicker of alarm behind her fake calm. If I was gone before she could sell her story, she'd lose control. No noble exit. No, Clay and I are just moving in different directions. She didn't say anything for a minute. Just chewed her lip and started folding laundry with a little too much force. That night, she initiated intimacy for the first time in months. I declined. Nothing kills a cheater's confidence like rejection from the man they're cheating on. By week 2, she started acting sweeter. Left notes in my lunch bag. Sat closer on the couch. Said things like, maybe we should do another staycation, just us. Oh, now she wanted a staycation? She was nervous. I was unpredictable. And that terrified her. So I gave her a script she could follow. I made up a consulting job in Arizona. Something high-paying but temporary. Said they wanted me to fly out for a final interview. Said I'd be gone for 2 days. She played it cool. That sounds exciting. But later that night, she texted Eli. Clay's out of town Tuesday to Thursday. Might be our chance, red heart. Beautiful. When Tuesday came, I packed a bag, kissed her goodbye, and drove to the airport. Then I circled back, parked at a buddy's house, and waited. My friend will owed me a favor. 2 years ago, I helped him get out of a mess with his ex-wife involving a shared storage unit 2 laptops, and a disputed Pomeranian named Jules. He said he'd return the favor someday. Someday was now. Will pick me up and drop me 2 blocks from my house. I approached on foot, slipped in through the back entrance, and settled into the attic crawl space I'd prepped days before. Don't worry, I brought snacks. And a baby monitor. One half in the living room. One half in my ear. At exactly 7:13 p.m., Eli arrived. I knew, because Monica giggled and said, "You're early." He said, "I couldn't wait." Then kissed her. It was like watching a poorly written soap opera, if the characters had less charisma and no financial literacy. They drank wine, sat on my couch, talked about how this whole thing would be easier soon. Then she said it. "Once Clay's gone, we can start over. I've been documenting things in case he gets controlling. Financial records, texts. I even saved the fight from last month. If he flips out, I want people to know it wasn't my fault." That part stung. There was no fight last month. She staged it, recorded it, edited it to sound worse than it was. But that's the thing about building a narrative. You better make sure yours is the only one in circulation. Unfortunately for her, I had the director's cut, and it was nearly time for the premiere. At 11:04 p.m., Eli left. At 11:22, Monica showered. At 11:41, I crept out of the attic, walked downstairs, and sat at the dining table. She screamed when she saw me. "You're supposed to be in Arizona." I smiled. "Flight got canceled." Her eyes darted around. "You were here." I gestured to the table. "Want to talk about the wine glasses? Or the fake recordings? Or how you're planning to take my house and alimony while your boyfriend lounges on my furniture in Target socks?" She said nothing, just stood there, then whispered, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I'm going to let you hang yourself. But don't worry, I'll set the camera up first." She didn't speak right away, just stood there, clutching the hem of her bathrobe like it might shield her from the reality bleeding into the room. I was calm, too calm, which, frankly, was more terrifying than if I'd been screaming. Because Monica knew me. She knew silence from me meant thinking, and I had a lot of time to think. "I don't know what you think you saw," she finally said. "Oh, don't worry," I said, unlocking my laptop on the table. "I know what I saw, and heard, and archived." She blinked at the word. "Archived." I turned the screen toward her and hit play. There she was, on camera, laughing on the couch with Eli, talking about her little plan to paint me as unstable. The fake fight, the documentation, the part where she called me predictable enough to destroy. Eli had nodded along, smug as a backup singer with no solo. Monica watched herself unravel on screen like someone viewing their own autopsy. Where did you put a camera?" I raised an eyebrow. "You know that little vent above the bookshelf you always said was crooked? You were right. It's been crooked since March. Purposefully." She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Then finally, "You recorded me in my own home?" I gave her a look. "In our home, which you've been using as the set for a pretty trashy daytime soap. I just wanted to preserve the performance." Her face flushed. "This is illegal." "No, Monica. What you've been doing. That's illegal. The lying. The financial setup. The attempted character assassination. Me documenting a conversation in a house I own. That's just prudent." I clicked to the next tab. A folder labeled Monica, intent and pattern. Inside were photos, screenshots, text messages with Eli, the credit card statements, the hotel bills. That little note to herself she kept buried in her drafts folder. I'd organized everything like a prosecutor with a full docket. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. I leaned back in my chair, hands folded. "Because you were planning to ruin me, Monica. And I've spent too many years building this life, this reputation, to let you run off with the story and the silverware." She sat down then, slowly, like her knees had stopped trusting her. Her wine-red nails dug into the table's edge. "I wasn't going to hurt you." I tilted my head. "No? You were just going to leave, but make it look like I drove you to it. And make sure you got the house, the sympathy, and a clean new boyfriend before the dust settled." "It wasn't like that," she said, but even she didn't sound convinced. I nodded like I understood. Then I slid an envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked. Option 1. She opened it. Inside, a clean, pre-negotiated divorce agreement. I'd already had it notarized on my end. She scanned it, eyes narrowing at the terms. "No alimony. I get nothing from the house." "You get exactly what you brought in," I said. "Which, as you recall, was a leased car and a 7-year-old couch that didn't survive our second move. Her face twisted. You expect me to sign this? No. I expect you to realize this is the best deal you're going to get. Or what? I stood slowly, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, took a long sip. Or, I said, I send everything in that folder to your HR department. Her eyes shot up. You wouldn't. You're technically his superior, Monica. There are company rules, policies. You remember the orientation videos. You watched them while texting him under the table. You'd ruin my career? I turned, leaning against the counter. No, you ruined your career. I'm just offering you the chance to do it quietly. She didn't answer, just stared at the contract. I could see the gears turning. She'd always been a strategist. That's what made her dangerous. But strategy requires leverage. And I'd spent the last 2 months removing every tool from her belt. No sympathy, no narrative, no fallback plan. I wasn't punishing her. I was cornering her into honesty. She folded the contract, hands trembling slightly. I want to see a lawyer. Of course, I said. Have your lawyer call mine. But just know, if you stall or leak anything to anyone, that folder goes public. All of it. I even have a zip file labeled for Mom. Don't test me. That night, she slept in the guest room. I didn't sleep at all. Not because I was sad. I'd already grieved this marriage. No, I stayed awake to monitor the house one last time. Just in case she tried to grab a hard drive, erase something, take a souvenir. She didn't. She was too smart for that. She knew the game was over. And I didn't gloat. I didn't spike the football or post vague quotes on Facebook about betrayal. I just watched her shrink. Not out of cruelty. Out of clarity. For the first time in our marriage, I saw Monica honestly, without charm or lipstick or audience. And she looked small. By the end of the week, she signed the papers. Her lawyer called mine and asked about the non-disclosure clause I'd added. My lawyer said, non-negotiable. She didn't argue. She moved out 2 days later. Eli helped. Poor guy looked like a deer who realized the headlights weren't blinking. I watched from the upstairs window as they loaded her stuff into his car. She glanced up once, caught my eye, then quickly looked away. I waved. She didn't wave back. The house felt bigger after she left. Not emptier, just quieter. Lighter. Like someone had opened every window and let a decade of stale air finally escape. The coffee tasted better. The faucet didn't drip. The silence wasn't lonely. It was earned. And yet, in that first week after Monica's exit, I didn't celebrate. I reorganized. Not the house, the narrative. I met with my lawyer again, a no-nonsense woman named Frances who wore steel-rimmed glasses and spoke in citations. She'd been through the fire more than once, and she had that look people get when they've stopped reacting emotionally to human nature. She slid the final copy of the divorce decree across the table. She signed it, she said, tapping the stapled corner with a red pen. And surprisingly fast. No appeals, no revisions. Just one comment. I raised an eyebrow. Do I want to know? She asked if you were seeing someone. I told her you were married to the law now. I laughed once. Dry? Better company. Frances leaned back. Are you ready for the clause? Ah, yes. The clause. See, I'd slipped something subtle into the agreement. Right at the end. Page 17. Subsection 12. Resurrection clause. Should Monica Langston engage in any public defamation of Clay Langston within 36 months of signing, all non-disclosure protections dissolve, and the pre-negotiated file, Exhibit B, may be distributed at Clay's discretion without legal repercussion. In plain English, if she so much as tried to spin this in public, I could burn the whole forest. Frances smiled. You sure you want to keep it in? I nodded. It's not about vengeance anymore. It's about insulation. For a while, things were quiet. I adjusted to my new life. I picked up old hobbies. Fixed the loose garage shelf she always ignored. Canceled the HelloFresh subscription. Learned how to make my own pad thai. Not great, but edible. I even started jogging again. Monica had always hated when I jogged in public. You look too serious, she said once, laughing as I laced up my shoes. Like you're training for a triathlon in the rain. But now, I like looking serious. I was serious. About my health. My peace. My next chapter. That was the season I started sleeping deeply again. No more 3 a.m. wake-ups. No more pretending not to notice her texts lighting up the room. Just 8 hours of unbothered silence. Then, right as the calendar flipped to month 3, she broke it. It came in the form of a podcast. a mid-tier lifestyle series run by a woman named Tara, who called herself a spiritual divorce doula. I wish I were kidding. The episode was titled, When Stability Becomes a Cage, Escaping a Quiet Marriage. The guest? Monica. She didn't use my name. Not directly. But oh, the monologue was practically notarized. He was so calculated. Never raised his voice, but everything felt controlled. Cold. Like I was a tenant in a museum of his personality. Sometimes the absence of chaos can be its own form of oppression. I needed to breathe again. Oh, she breathed, all right. For 46 minutes, Monica wove a narrative of noble self-rescue. How she'd been emotionally starved. How she stayed longer than she should have out of guilt. How she left without asking for a penny. Which, of course, made her the hero. I listened to the whole thing with a glass of scotch in my hand and the resurrection clause open on my laptop. Page 17. Subsection 12. My phone buzzed before I could even close the window. It was Frances. She couldn't help herself, could she? Nope. You want me to start the release process? I stared out the window, watching a pair of squirrels fight over an acorn. Small, frantic, desperate. Kind of like Monica when she realized she was being outmaneuvered. Not yet, I said. Instead, I sent Monica a package. No note. No threats. Just a copy of the podcast transcript, with her quotes highlighted. And beneath it, stapled neatly, a reprint of the resurrection clause, with one line underlined in red. Maybe distributed at Clay's discretion without legal repercussion. The next day, I got a text. Monica, I didn't use your name. This isn't fair. Me. That's not how contracts work. Monica, what do you want? I stared at the message for a long time. What did I want? Revenge? No, that was already finished. She had to wake up every day and be herself. That's punishment enough. Validation? Maybe once. But now, I had peace. So I typed the truth. Me. I want you to disappear. Gracefully. No memoirs. No interviews. No storytelling. You walk away clean, and so do I. But if you press the gas, I release the brakes. She didn't reply. The podcast episode disappeared 2 days later. Tara released a vague apology citing guest privacy concerns and promised to do better. Monica vanished from her guest page. And me? I jogged past a billboard for the show that weekend and laughed all the way to mile 4. People ask sometimes if I regret how it ended. The calm revenge. The quiet exposure. The resurrection clause. I don't. Because here's what Monica never understood, and maybe never will. You can't steal peace from someone who built it himself. She thought I was predictable, that I'd fold quietly, that I'd sulk while she ran off into some romanticized new beginning. But I don't fold. I file. It started with a whisper. A friend of Monica's, Julia, the one who always posted those wine o'clock memes like clockwork, unfollowed her on every platform. Then came the silence. No likes. No tags. No brunch selfies with mimosas and my people. Monica's curated tribe? Gone. Because when people don't know who to believe, they stop choosing sides. They just stop showing up. Her social media slowly became a ghost town. The double tap brigade dwindled to a few distant acquaintances and one relentless cousin who comments on everything with looking great, hun, no matter how bleak the caption. And Eli? Well, Eli didn't survive the fallout. Apparently, he wasn't built for the long haul once the drama died and real life came knocking. Monica went from our love is honest to he's immature and insecure in a matter of weeks. She moved into a rental on the edge of town. Beige walls, thin carpets, a kitchen smaller than the one she used to complain about in our starter apartment. The landlord's name was Jerry, and she once emailed me asking if I could call him about the plumbing. I didn't respond, because by that point, I had other things on my mind. Like the woman I'd met at the hardware store. Her name was Natalie. She worked in architecture, liked dark coffee, and had no patience for small talk. We met in the aisle between drill bits and paint swatches, both reaching for the same package of anchors. Go ahead, I said. She looked me dead in the eye and replied, only if you tell me what you're fixing. That's how it started. It wasn't fast, wasn't dramatic. It was real, and slow was good. Slow let me rebuild without decoration or delusion. 3 months after the podcast disappeared, I got a letter. Not an email, not a text. A real, handwritten envelope on off-white paper with her name in the return corner. Monica Langston. I held it for 2 days before opening it. Not because I was afraid. Because I wasn't in a rush. Inside, for pages. Apology? Not quite. It was more of a confession. I didn't expect you to outsmart me. That's not an insult. That's me finally being honest. I always underestimated your silence. I thought if you didn't fight loud, you weren't fighting at all. I thought being the loud one made me powerful. But you were playing a longer game. And I lost. She didn't ask for forgiveness. But she did admit she missed the stability. The quiet safety of someone who actually had her back, even when she didn't deserve it. The last line hit harder than I expected. You weren't boring. You were steady. I just didn't know the difference until I fell off the ride. I didn't write back. Some chapters don't need sequels. They need to end. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a phone call. Blocked number. Curiosity got the better of me. Clay Langston, the voice asked. Female. Nervous. That's me. My name is Jordan. I'm Eli's ex-girlfriend. Now that was a plot twist. We met for coffee. Her idea. She showed up with a folder, much like mine. Screenshots. Emails. Photos. Turns out Eli was also seeing her during his entire relationship with Monica, and he'd proposed to her 2 weeks before he helped Monica move out of my house. He said he was working extra hours, helping a friend's mom move. I almost laughed, but I didn't. She looked too devastated for laughter. She handed me one last item, a message Monica had accidentally sent to Eli that was meant for someone else. A different man, different emojis, same script. Jordan shook her head. Your ex-wife has the pattern. I nodded slowly. No surprise there. Then Jordan leaned in and said something I'll never forget. I'm telling you this because you deserve to know you're not the only one. She does this. She builds escape plans with people like him, and when she's done, she flips the script and becomes the victim again. She paused. I don't think she knows how to be in a life that isn't burning down. I never told Monica about the meeting with Jordan. She wouldn't have cared. Or worse, she would have pretended to. But I kept the file. I archived it. Not for revenge. For record-keeping. Because in a world full of chaos and noise, the only real justice is having the truth in your back pocket. Just in case. Natalie and I didn't rush. We dated like people with nothing to prove. Quiet nights. Small meals. Long walks without talking the whole time. One day she asked, "Are you still angry?" And I said something that surprised even me. No. I'm just glad I'm not numb anymore. Monica eventually remarried. To a man who sells real estate and has a large social media following. He posts gym selfies. Wears shirts 2 sizes too small. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. They announced their wedding via drone video. I watched it once. She looked happy. But I've seen that smile before. I didn't send a gift. I sent a quote. Typed on a card. No return address. We are not punished for our betrayal. We are punished by it. Aeschylus. The life I built now? It's quiet. Honest. There are no secret folders. No staged fights. No emotional performances. There's just space. Peace. And a man who learned how to lose with dignity and win without raising his voice. Because in the end, the loudest revenge is living well. And the cruelest twist? She'll never know how close she came to having all of it. But I do. And that's enough.